recognized by the Associated Press as Oregon's best newscast. News Channel 8, where the news comes first.
The increased surveillance on America's borders and concern about associates of the terror suspect now in custody.
There's a very, very active investigation going on.
The mounting toll from the mudslides in Venezuela. An international relief effort is in progress. And the dueling Democrats go after each other in a no-holds-barred debate.
What about the people with
Right now,
what about those that were disabled?
Right now,
Is that true, Senator?
No. First of all,
from NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News, reported by John Siegenthaler.
Good evening, everyone. We begin tonight with word of stepped-up surveillance on the U.S. borders and a high-level warning about terrorism. The president's national security advisor today urged Americans to be extra careful over the holidays. All this as authorities learn more about associates of the man charged with bringing explosives into this country from Canada. Here's NBC's Dan Lothian.
The threat of terrorism on American soil triggering high alert at the borders. In Blaine, Washington, holiday traffic flowing in and out of British Columbia further slowed by random searches. Nationwide, vigilance at more than 300 ports of entry. In San Diego, agents on the lookout for anything suspicious from Mexico. Tighter enforcement along the Canadian border with Michigan and New York as well. National Security Advisor Sandy Berger.
Our law enforcement people are taking extra precautions, are on extra alert status to be very vigilant to try to prevent any acts of terrorism here in the United States.
All this concern following the arrest of suspect Ahmed Rassam last week, caught crossing from Canada into Washington state, authorities say with a trunk full of explosives. Tonight, more details about his alleged ties to a theft ring in Montreal that authorities believe has terrorist connections. Canadian investigators suspect Rassam is tied to this theft ring. 11 members recently arrested. Their alleged mission?
The
fruits of their criminal activity here were being used to support terrorist actions internationally.
They are suspected members of the Islamic armed group, the GIA, an Algerian radical organization seen in this home video. Authorities say a member of this group deported from Canada was involved in a 1995 Paris subway bombing that killed 7 people, injured more than 80 others. Rassam now being held without bail at this facility, while the search for other possible suspects also underway. Federal investigators believe a second person accompanied Rassam on a ferry into Washington state because Rassam bought 2 tickets. The Algerian national is expected to appear here in federal court again this week. And one report indicates he may soon be indicted on smuggling and false statement charges. Dan Lothian, NBC News, Seattle. In Venezuela tonight, authorities now estimate more than 5,000 have been killed by flash floods and mudslides there. The northeast coast was hardest hit, but half the country has been affected. NBC's John Palmer reports on the growing relief effort.
It's the worst natural disaster to hit Venezuela in more than 50 years. Thousands dead, thousands more missing, and at least 200,000 left homeless from flash floods and mudslides. Vargas, located just north of the capital Caracas along the coast, is the area hardest hit, with hundreds, perhaps thousands, still buried beneath mud, boulders, and debris from collapsed houses. With a let-up in the rain, rescuers have been able to reach survivors, offering what assistance they can. Even a warship was pressed into service to evacuate thousands of people stranded along the north coast. For the lucky ones, there were tearful reunions. Makeshift camps have been set up to care for the homeless, since many areas are without food, electricity, running water, and telephone service. Sewers are overflowing, and doctors are warning of epidemics. A call went out today for volunteer grave diggers. The situation has taken on a new urgency since many of the victims were killed 4 or 5 days ago. Several countries, including the United States, have sent aid, but officials say much more is needed. At the Venezuelan embassy in Washington today, volunteers help pack donated relief supplies.
We need all the help we can get internationally, and we are asking to the American people their help in order to overcome this terrible tragedy we are facing.
The Venezuelan embassy has set up collection points for needed supplies at its consulates across the United States, like this one in New York City. President Clinton has promised U.S. help. 2 transport planes and 9 helicopters are there now. And tomorrow, U.S. military officials will arrive in Venezuela to draw plans for further assistance. John Palmer, NBC News at the White House.
Now to this country's political future. The 2 Democrats fighting for their party's presidential nomination went after each other today on NBC's Meet the Press. NBC's Ann Thompson is covering that campaign.
All right, clear the set, please.
The Democratic contenders, Bill Bradley and Al Gore. Moderate Democrats whose positions are almost as similar as their wardrobe choices today, clashing on the details. The most contentious issue, once again, health care. Specifically, how to cover the 44 million Americans without health insurance. Gore's priority, covering more low-income children. Bradley would eliminate Medicaid and open the federal employees' health insurance program to all.
We would cover about 30 million, but we would make access to quality health care and affordable health care available to everyone.
Who would you leave out?
We would allow we'd leave no one out because every person with a health insurance would be able to exclude their premium from health insurance.
But most of the people who don't have health care today don't have premiums to deduct, so they're left out. I think we have to get to universal health insurance, and I think the way to do it is to get there step by step.
On Social Security, should the retirement age be raised to preserve benefits?
I strongly oppose raising the retirement age. Let me tell you,
Ever?
well, in the foreseeable future, ever, I'll say ever, sure.
Would you consider looking at a gradual increase in the retirement age?
Tim, no, I don't propose that.
Midway through the hour-long debate, in a discussion of campaign finance reform, a surprise proposal from the vice president.
If you will agree, I will stop running all television and radio commercials until this nomination is decided. That can get a lot of the money out of the presidential campaign and accomplish one of the best reforms. What about it?
Sounds to me like you're having trouble raising money.
No.
I mean,
as a matter of fact, I'm not.
This is a ridiculous proposal.
Gore kept pressing.
I'm willing to do it right now if you'll shake on it.
Al, that's good. I like that hand, but the answer is no.
Both men had awkward moments. Gore admitting mistakes were made in fundraising tactics for the 1996 Clinton-Gore campaign. Bradley defending his vote against the Persian Gulf War, saying at the time he favored sanctions against Iraq.
As the rivals greeted supporters after today's debate, each seemed energized. Both returned to Iowa this week for one last swing before a Christmas break, the state that next month will be the first test of how voters see the differences. Ann Thompson, NBC News, Washington.
When NBC Nightly News continues in a moment, the peaceful end to a standoff at a Louisiana jail. And later in focus, boot camps for juveniles who break the law. How well do they really work?
In this life, there's just no stopping. No break for a hacking cough. No rest for a raw, sore throat, aches, fever. But when you're desperate for relief, there is TheraFlu. Fast, powerful, hot liquid therapy. With the first sip of that soothing hot liquid, you feel relief is on the way. Soon your throat is soothed, your cough calmed. Maximum strength TheraFlu. Now in new honey lemon chest congestion and cough. Instant comfort, powerful relief.
For every job, there's a hard way, or there's the Dremel way. The Dremel rotary tool with more than 150 available accessories. For every problem, there's a Dremel solution.
To find the perfect gift for the coffee lover in your life, Gifts.com tested all kinds of gift ideas.
Great gift. Great gift. Great gift. You buy it?
I buy it.
Not very good.
This would make a nice gift.
It'd make a wonderful gift.
Big, bold, body, fine, full finish. It's a marvelous mocha moment.
Coffee break!
So when you're looking for just the right gift, come to Gifts.com. Tell us about the people you're shopping for, and we'll tell you about some great gifts. Gifts.com. Just the perfect gifts. Register now at Gifts.com and get $10 off your next purchase of $50 or more.
After 9 frustrating delays and 4 straight days of waiting, tonight, NASA is counting down to the launch of the Space Shuttle Discovery. The mission is an important one to repair the Hubble Space Telescope, which has been out of service since last month. If Discovery doesn't lift off tonight, the next attempt won't come until mid-January. U.S.-Cuban relations are a big issue at a small-town Louisiana jail tonight. The prison hostage situation is finally over. And late today, an announcement of a dramatic change in what this means in Washington and Havana. Here's NBC's Rick Davis.
Flashing police lights blended with Christmas bulbs in St. Martinsville, Louisiana overnight. Police and FBI SWAT teams cheered. The hostages at St. Martin's jail were free. 5 Cuban inmates and 1 Bahamian were seen handcuffed in a prison bus. 2 other Cubans surrendered earlier. It all began last Monday. The inmates overcame the warden and a female and 2 male guards. Later, 5 female prisoners were added to the hostage list. 2 guards were freed, the last on Thursday night. All the Cubans had once fled Cuba and were later convicted of crimes here. All had completed their prison terms. Negotiators listened as they demanded freedom and a return to Cuba. But the Immigration Service will not release a prisoner deemed a threat to public safety. These men are among at least 2,400 Cubans caught in this legal limbo. Cuba refuses to take them back, so they remain in prisons and jails. But last night, the mother of one inmate said she read an agreement that the men would be sent to Cuba.
Yeah, this is the deal.
And tell me your reaction. How do you feel this is over?
I'm happy.
Late today, the State Department confirmed the Cuban inmates would be returned to Cuba. The freed warden had no comment on the negotiations, but he spoke of the death threats against the hostages.
When you got somebody holding a knife, do you believe him?
In the town today, relief. And in the churches, a day for special thanks. Rick Davis, NBC News.
In Russia today, parliamentary elections, which could be a key to the Kremlin's future. And early returns suggest the current Kremlin occupant has good reason to smile. Here's NBC's Dana Lewis in Moscow.
Boris Yeltsin beaming at the ballot box, just 6 months to go before he retires. Today's voting a dress rehearsal for presidential elections next June. 2,000 candidates. From the grandson of Stalin to an ex-wrestler, 4 former prime ministers, all running in an election most Russians don't think will dramatically change their lives. An election where issues the voters really care about, dire social and economic problems, were hardly talked about. Instead, election fever in Russia was driven by intrigue, scandal, even bribery. State TV, controlled by the Kremlin and its wealthy cronies, launched a propaganda war. Targets? Yeltsin's political rivals, former Prime Minister Primakov and Moscow Mayor Lushkov. Unrelenting attacks by this commentator tried to implicate Lushkov in the murder of an American businessman, mocking him as a Mussolini and Monica Lewinsky. Today, he's bitter.
They are super dirty. It's not acceptable for a civilized country.
Lushkov and other Kremlin opponents are trailing badly in early election returns. Parties supporting Prime Minister Vladimir Putin, Yeltsin's chosen successor, surging ahead. And the communists holding on to one of the most powerful parliamentary blocs.
And the communists are giving this regime a kind of anti-communist legitimacy. They're helping the regime to survive.
The Kremlin has set the stage for the presidential race, dealing an early knockout punch to the only party to threaten its grip on power. Tonight in Russia, bare-knuckle politics paying off. Dana Lewis, NBC News, Moscow.
Desmond Llewellyn died today. His name isn't well known, but his face is. He played the gadget expert Q in a string of James Bond movies. He died in an auto accident as he headed home from a book signing. Desmond Llewellyn was 85. When NBC Nightly News continues, why some states are giving boot camps the boot.
Is your wrap losing moisture? Saran Wrap locks in moisture to keep foods this fresh. Reynolds Plastic Wrap doesn't. It's not just any wrap, it's Saran Wrap. Is your wrap letting out odors? Saran Wrap keeps food odors wrapped away. Reynolds Plastic Wrap doesn't.
Onion.
It's not just any wrap, it's Saran Wrap.
I am the Scum Buster. I make scum and mildew problems disappear. I make grease and dirt problems go away. If you got a messy situation, believe me, no one's got to know. I'm the Scum Buster. I am built by Black & Decker.
Night.
Provides no ambient illumination.
It's scary.
Yet objects give off energy in the form of heat.
It would be amazing if you could see what's out there.
To DeVille DTS thermal detection system with a head-up display projects images of the road ahead.
Beyond the range of your headlamps.
The all-new DeVille DTS, the world's first car available with night vision. The power of and, the fusion of design and technology. Cadillac.
Why is Lysol spray the best way to help protect your family? Because of what it does, kills the cold bug in seconds, and what it doesn't do, leave the sticky film Clorox spray does. That's why nothing beats Lysol.
Tums is the most popular antacid in America. Tums is recommended by more doctors than any other antacid. Tums is so safe, it's recommended for pregnant women. And so healthy, it's taken as a daily calcium supplement. So before you think about taking something slower than Tums, like Pepcid AC gel caps, which are every bit as slow as regular Pepcid, think again about
Tums. All New Year's Day, celebrate the millennium with the world and NBC News. Tom Brokaw, Katie Couric, later music superstars throw a party. It all starts New Year's Eve morning.
In focus this evening, boot camps for troubled young people. About half the states have these Get Tough facilities, housing about 4,500 teens. But as NBC's Joe Johns reports, the value of the camps is now in doubt.
This decade started with high hopes that paramilitary camps would motivate youthful offenders to go straight. But it's ending on a controversial note. In Georgia, where some of the first boot camps for juveniles sprang up, the state announced it is phasing the programs out. In addition to Georgia, at least 4 other states are either reviewing, phasing out, or scaling back operations. A leading reason, studies show that juveniles who go to boot camps are just as likely to get into trouble when they leave as juveniles who go to traditional juvenile detention centers. Critics say the focus on discipline without more does nothing.
It fits people's stereotypes. If we could only send a kid here where he would learn to discipline himself and we'll yell and scream and make him jump through hoops and say yes sir and no sir, it doesn't make any difference.
A new study for the Justice Department by a University of Maryland criminologist compared 27 boot camps and 21 traditional juvenile facilities. It says the juveniles in boot camps think they're getting something positive, but that the paramilitary programs don't have enough therapeutic components. And without therapy, the report says, impacts of the boot camps are insufficient to help them make the types of changes necessary.
Overall, they're not doing the kinds of things that we need to have them do to change enough to make them reduce their criminal activities.
The study also indicated that juveniles at boot camps are more likely to fear the staff than at traditional facilities. Just last week, reports about physical abuse led Maryland's governor to shut down boot camps there.
Our trust, but perhaps even more important, the trust of the people of Maryland, has been violated.
Abuse has been a concern in other states. The death of a 14-year-old girl at a boot camp in South Dakota led to an FBI investigation. Supporters of boot camps argue that the concept may have been oversold in the beginning, but that it should not be abandoned because of recent bad publicity. Congressman Asa Hutchinson is a former prosecutor.
If discipline and structure is good for 18-year-olds who go into the military, does it not have some place in looking at a 15 and 16-year-old that does not have that structure and discipline? And so that concept is very sound. Yes, it's subject to abuse. Yes, it needs to be monitored. Most importantly, there needs to be good follow-up programs.
But that raises other questions. For example, if the focus is on follow-up programs like drug treatment and counseling, what's the need for the military structure in a boot camp in the first place? The debate will continue as states try to decide whether boot camps have a future in juvenile justice. Joe Johns, NBC News, Washington.